Hello, 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 and welcome to Life Lessons for a Time Such as Now. I am Tracy, and I'm here with Renee and Crystal.
Hi.
And today's topic is giving and receiving. If you like our podcast, please do not hesitate to share, click like, and subscribe. Subscribe, guys. We need you. So, today, again's topic is giving and receiving. What is that? You're receiving something from something or someone who's giving to you, and you're receiving it, but how do you reciprocate that? How do you give it back? Which one are you? Are you a giver? Are you a taker? Which one? So I'll start. For me, it's Renee just said a little bit earlier, it's always good to be, what did you say? Giving than it
It's
is
better
to
to
receive.
give than it
Than to
is to
receive.
receive.
Right.
Yes.
And I totally agree with that. That is who I am for the most part. I give so much of myself. I give to people because I am that person who didn't have it at one point, right? Who didn't have someone to talk to, who didn't have someone, to be there to support, to coach me, or whatever it is. And so, just by nature, for me, I like to give. I like to be able to help someone if if it's possible for me to do so. I'm always there to try to be there to uplift. Right. Uh, Sometimes it's hard for me to receive. I don't know, how to receive, right? I don't know how to take something from someone else. And someone told me before, they said, Tracy, you have to understand that you always giving of yourself, but God is blessing you through someone else. Accept God's blessing. Why would you reject it? And it took me a long time, an absolute long time for me to do that. And so now, it's a little bit difficult, but now I always try to remember that, like, God is blessing me. And so now I'm starting to be okay with receiving. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with that because I'm always, give, give, give. I'm a giver. I'm real quick to give my right arm for, any
You
sad
said right
story,
on.
you know, for any sad story, because I'm
Yes.
a giver. You know what I mean? And it comes from my heart. And I too had a friend one day. It was somebody that was homeless, and and I was like, pull over, let me give him some money. And he was like, look at him. He cleaner than you. you know and from that point on, it's like, wow, he really has a point. You know what I mean? Was he really in need, or was he flim-flamming, and trying to get whatever he can get, off the grid, not work for what he, for his keep, and that made me think about that. But still, like you, Trey, it's still hard for me to receive things when people try to give me stuff. And my mother always said, smile and say thank you, because it's a blessing, for, like the word says, you reap what you sow. You know what I mean? So when people come back to give us these things, we do have to learn how to receive it, smile, and say thank you. We don't want to turn down God's blessings. What you say, Renee?
I second the motion. I definitely do. I think we all in that boat, just a rowing, give, 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 because that is, I think somebody needs to take that out of Renee and put, Renee instead of Renee, put a give and give her. And I used to say, now never receive, right? But I had to do like what Tracy has done, is take in account that in my giving, I've always given from the heart. It's not like I give with a question mark, like
Right.
except for now I can feel you too, Crystal, because I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm giving this dude, and I know that if it's a hustle, I gotta tell you a story. We from New York, so I've seen it all. So I'm on the train one day, And this dude looked like one of those scary horror movies where they be all the way down on the floor with the arms back and walking, this way. And he done, did all of this here combobulation, discombobulation, recombobulation with his body. And I'm sitting on the train and I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm reaching in the pocket, right? And everybody on the train was giving. And this dude comes off the train and straightens right up and commenced to walking.
Yeah.
Yo, I hollered, give me back my money.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Because this dude, it was a hustle. So he found a way to look like he was so deformed in his body that people was compelled to give. And I think that's what has happened in my life. If I look at it's not like people are saying, I'm going to hustle Renee, but I think that people come to know us so well, Trey and Chris, that they know we're going to give. And I mean, I know I said it to Tracy 1,000 times. Tracy, you always giving. You always got people in your house. You always, and and
That's
I'm
so
telling the
true.
truth. I'd be in the
No, you
background
are.
like, Tracy, come on now. You just gave them. And and I didn't realize it until one day my mother, she said to me, I picked the girl up that was pregnant and in the ministry on 111th Street in New York, and she was barefooted and pregnant. And I took her up to my home, and I had, my baby at the time, my only baby girl, and she was a toddler. And my mother was like, Renee, you can't be doing that. You can't be just taking up strangers in your home. And I just felt, like what we just heard, like, with forgiveness and resentment, I was like, you know what? I know what it is to be pregnant and alone. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And on my own. So I was compelled to help her and to take her. And I did. I took her in my home. I gave her some shoes, gave her some clothes. I didn't let her stay, but I helped her transition a couple of nights and whatever. But, there's the other times when I let people in my house and they thought they was going to play me. And now I find myself with a switchblade. So, it does have
Not
its
the
balance.
switchblade.
Yeah, don't be with the switch. Don't make me cut you. Right. So I'm like, where do I draw the line? And I was a young 30 something, like, was a baby. And I had this girl in my house and she got brand new. And that's the old me. Everybody know it. I had a 2-piece for her, knocked her right out in the middle of my living room. Cause I was like, and dragged her and right on out, put her in the street. Like, you are not going to play with me. So it goes both ways for me. Like, like, how do I balance? When do I know that it's okay to give and that it's not okay to let people take advantage? Because I think that in this certain age today, I've learned, like those are eons ago stories, right? But I've had to learn across my journey that when I'm given, let it be because it's something that I really truly believe God is telling me to do, number one. And I processed it and I know like we heard a little while ago that God is requiring me to do some of this too. It's not just Renee saying I want to give, but God is also commissioning me to give in a ways, whether it's my time, whether it's my my education, whether it's my love, whether it's my money, my food, whatever it is, my clothes, my belongings. I do it because I really truly feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. Like I don't feel good when at the end of the night when I don't give, you know what I mean? Or at the end of the day, if I'm not giving, it's weird, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, Renee, because for me, I had to learn how to listen to God, right? Because you're right. I had every Tom, Paul, and Jerry in my house, more so friends or family, right? No strangers. But if you told me a sad story, if you did a song and dance for me, you got me, right? You got me. But it became so exhausting, not just emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically, but also financially, right? Because most people get over on you or try to get over on you because they take your kindness for your weakness. So I started, asking God to just show me, right, who really, needs the help, who really needs, my support, help me, show me what to give, right? And that's again part of our purpose.
Right.
What is it that you need me to give to others? And even when it comes to my children, right? Because we always want to be there for our children. Dun, 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 Superwoman, right? I'm here. I'm gonna fly through the sky. I'm gonna try to save you. I'm gonna do at all costs. right? But at what point do we stop giving to them, right? At what point do we allow them to feel the bumps of life? So we give and give and give, even to our children, and then we exhaust that as well.
Mhm.
So, I look at it not just, from a like stranger or anything point of view, but also with family.
Absolutely. Like Trey, I've had so many people live with me,
Mm-hmm.
so many people, friends, family. I'm just thinking like, wow, and any sad story, I'm on, oh, well, I think people had in their mind, oh, well, I know who I can call. I know
Mm-hmm.
who's going to give me shelter and provisions. I know where I could go and live rent free.
Come on, that's the
Because
truth.
everybody always say what they're going to do until they get there. So when the bill comes in or whatever needs to be paid, oh, I don't have it. I'll give it to you next week. Like what was it? On Popeye, was it Wimp? What was his name?
Yeah, I gladly
I'll
pay you
gladly pay.
Tuesday
Right, right. And
for what
Tuesday,
you give me today. And I
right,
started
right.
saying that it ain't Tuesday. It ain't Tuesday. Okay.
Right. So, that is a good question. When do you know when to give and when do you stop and let people figure it out like we have to figure it out? Because that's where I am today.
Right.
I have to figure it out. So you have to figure it out. Which
Hmm.
one do you want, the left or the right? I can't keep giving you the left or the right. Okay. I can't keep on weaning you and burping you and wiping your mouth and spoon feeding you. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that no more. You have to go out here and figure it out yourself. And that's with our family and with our friends. And I had one girl that was supposed to be my so-called friend. And anyway, she was my so-called friend and she needed somewhere to go. And we had stopped speaking for like a whole year because, again, for the 100th time, she did me wrong. But she needed somewhere to go because she was kicked out of her house. They had a restraining order on her husband. And she was locked up. And to get out of jail, she had to have a place to go. Right. Now, mind you, I did not speak to this woman for like over a year. And then I get a phone call out of the blue saying, hey, can you help me? I need to get out of jail, but I need somewhere to go. Boy, I was struggling with that. You done did me dirty so many times, and I was there for you so many times. You disrespected me and hurt me on all levels. All right. And I prayed and I prayed. Hence, I did let her come because I couldn't let her sit in jail. Did she go again? Yes, she did. So this day, I do not speak with her anymore because I totally had to cut her out of my life after 27 years, 28 years, because it was the same cycle of just taking, and not really giving anything. Nothing was reciprocated, so I think I'm in a better place. And I think as we get older, we get a little bit wiser in the decisions and the choices that we make, and leaning on God and listening to his direction and what we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to help. Because everybody we're not supposed to help. And some people we are supposed to help. So.
Well, I want to lean towards the receiving part because as I'm hearing this, it's like, and I agree with both of you ladies when we talk about how it's hard to receive. And, and it's something so, like I'd be at Trey house or something and I'd try to get her just a plain old 7-Up or ginger ale. And she'd be like, no, 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 that's okay. That's okay. And, and I'm like, no, Trey, it's okay. I got it. No, no, no. It's like, and I'm exaggerating. It'd be, a little more than a ginger ale or 7-Up. But
right.
It's like, it's just the uncomfortability, right? Of what that feels like. Like it feels icky to me when somebody's, doing, something for me. I'm like, for me, like, like
Yes.
doing something for me,
Right.
because all of the time, like what you said, Crystal, it's like over the years, it's a little difficult. So I'm not really used to seeing folks give to me in any way, whether it's of their time, their emotion, whether it's, their love, their giving of things, and so, I remember when a few I think I made 53 or 54, but I have a cousin who very crafty and gifted, right? All my cousins are, but this one in particular, I've spoken about, like I was telling you about that bond, like ever since I turned 50. And actually what she did was she made me a pillow. And in this pillow, it's one of those decorative pillows,
Mhm.
and she had put a picture of me, my son, my daughter, and it was at my father's 75th birthday party. But what she did was she blended in my mom, and she blended in my late grandfather and my late grandmother. And
Mhm.
in this pillow, it's one of those pillows that when you swipe it one way, it looks like one part of the portrait, and then you swipe it the other way, it's sequin, and it looks like another part of the portrait. So it's one way, we're looking one way, and when you swipe it the other way. And she had made the gift for me for my birthday, but that year I didn't come down to New York, and the year before they had did this big birthday cake, and they had my name all on it, and my son was there, my grandkids was there, and it just felt, like a little uncomfortable. It's 50, some years, I haven't been receiving, that. No one's ever did that for me. But when she made this pillow, I was like really blown away. And everybody knows I'm just a well of tears anyway. And, immediately I began to cry, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is for me. And they nudging each other like, we gotta look at her. She over there crying, we got her good. But, and it's like every year, I don't care if it's a handkerchief, I'm beginning to learn, like, it's been perfume, it's the pillow, but, we exchange, it could be socks, it'd be just with anything, like what we was talking about forgiveness. And it's like, so now, we exchange gifts, as family, like everybody, whoever's birthday it is, whatever's anniversary, whatever we're celebrating, we come in and everybody has a gift. And it's just so, that whenever your turn comes around, in the back of your mind, I'm over here like, I ain't gonna get nothing. Ain't nobody
Mhm.
gonna give me nothing.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right, right. But when she gave me the pillow, that's what made me I was blown away. And it's in my living room. I keep it up because they know I love decorative pillows, but I have like 4 of them where my kids are put together, their pictures on one. And my cousin didn't even know that that was a part of, like, like my soulish gifts from my children. And so I say all that to say that I'm learning, like, how to receive, and what that feels like, and how to embrace, like, Tracy said, giving or receiving, like, which are you? And so, for me today, I'm learning a little bit about how, it's okay, to receive, even if it's a compliment,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes even that, it makes me feel, oh, you look beautiful. I'll be like, me, I'm looking at
Yeah.
myself like, let me fix my hair.
Yeah.
I know you ain't talking about me, but and it's like, oh, that smell good, or whatever it is. And I've been asking God to really help me to embrace, how, to receive, not just, I'm gonna still give, right, ladies? I'm giving, I'm a giver, but how I receive is mentoring my soul, if that makes sense, right? It's just, it's really, allowing God to say, you're worthy, and he does look at us as, the apple of his eye, and as he says, far above the price of rubies, right? So why shouldn't we receive? I don't know, what do y'all think about that?
Right.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
we receive too?
Well,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Absolutely. We just have to, really become used to that, right? Digesting that part of it,
Mm,
because, you know, um, it took me a long time. But, listening to what you were saying, Renee, yes, when you do come over, you definitely, you don't come handed. And I appreciate that, because maybe you're so used to seeing someone here who's just taking, taking, taking.
no, that's the
And,
truth. I get upset about that too.
yeah, yeah.
Playing.
But I want to tell a story about receiving as well. And,
Mm,
you know, for me, what's really important is when you're at your lowest,
mm,
what are you receiving?
mm,
And I remember when I was uh, diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And, I was going through the process, and everyone knows, my fears. I'm not going to share that, but I do have fears. And, just how, my family, my immediate family rallied around me during my surgery. But most importantly, my friends. And I remember vaguely waking up after my surgery. And I remember, because I was going in and out, and I was told I was in surgery for 12 hours. I saw my mother, but I also saw Renee. Renee was there. She was with my mom and my kids, and I can see some people, but because I was half drugged up, and but she was there. And those are the most important things that you have to think about. I'm not that emotional, but when I think about those things, it touches my heart to the core. With my healing, Crystal was always there. Crystal don't have a problem, changing, my bandages. And I have another friend who, while I was in ICU, she came in to see me and then came to my sick bed at home at my bedside, talking to me like nothing never happened. You want some chicken wings? Girl, I got some buffalo wings for you. Girl, let me tell you about today. And I'm sitting there like in pain and, drugged up a little bit. And I was chuckling, But those are the things for me that touches my heart. Because there's no price on that. It's not a name brand. That's something, that's indescribable, because, your people around you are saying that I love you and I appreciate you. And that just meant a lot to me. So again, I'm not that emotional unless I'm talking about how people rallied around me. That's all I got for you guys. You're not seeing no tears.
No, well, I'm gonna tell you, I know it's Crystal's turn, but I have to jump in there because that's the one time that I was gonna bop Crystal upside the head. Because as soon as after you was coming home in recovery, I was like this with Trey, like this. I'm carrying Trey. We in the house, and who says ding dong? Ding dong. And I was like, who is it? It was Crystal. And she came in there with a bag on, like, where is she? You remember that, Chris? And she came to the house, and I was like, who is that? I forgot it was Crystal. I ain't seen Crystal in like 20 years. I was like, and who is that? I'm here taking care of Trey. I was like, you get the bandages. I'm in control. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. We was fighting over you, Trey. We was like, Crystal, you remember that? No, I had
I remember. I was like,
she had a little nurse outfit on, her little white
like,
outfit, like she was a CNA. I was like, I'm here. I'm good. She's good. Outfit. She's good.
Oh, I probably was. No, I wasn't doing that at that time. Was I? Yeah,
no, yeah, like, you was. You came in the house. Remember that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember that because I was like, well, who is this? Who is she? Like, and first of all, who she thinks she is?
Right.
But I digress because
right.
Tracy was in pain.
Right, we did good. We did good. But we was like this over Trey, like I got her. No, I got her.
She looked at me.
Sorry, Trey. It was when you said that. It was so. I mean, but that was that. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm glad I was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But while you was in the room, we was having our little grit moment, like. you know.
Yeah.
I don't know who
Well, we
she
got
thinks
through
she
it. Look
is.
at us
Look,
now. No,
we
we
both
was
was
we
like,
got through
I
it
don't know who
quickly.
she thinks she is, you know.
Doing this, Chris. Come on, Chris. Right? What?
You think you
What?
are, you know, help what? No, I come here to help.
I love it.
I came from Connecticut. She was like, I came from Jersey, and what?
And I was so drugged up, I didn't know what was
Right.
going on.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was funny.
Nah,
But
go
yeah,
ahead, Chris.
that's when you know that, you know, you're loved, and that's when you're forced to receive, because there's nothing else you can do. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because you're drugged up, you all in whatever, you know, state you're in. You don't have a choice but to
Right.
receive the love and the support and the help that, you know, that you're getting. You know what I mean? So you was drugged up, there was nothing you could do about it. You was happy about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, but I would never forget,
Yeah.
it was, I can vaguely remember some of it, but I will never forget that I saw the both of you by my side.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yeah.
And that's the part, of the receiving part. And I know, if I could just speak to it, I was laughing about the ginger ale and the 7 Up, but it has been really, really, really hard because, even from our youth, like even from our like childhood, it's like always giving, like always being the one willing, I'll do it, always stepping in, and I just really have to highlight, like, I love what you said, Crystal. It's not that part of it, but you know, that's when we supposed to step in, and give. That's when we supposed to be there and give. That's when you love somebody. And I think that's really, when we talk about our purpose, we've come to know that this is obviously our purpose is to give, and to receive now is, another thing. And this is what I believe, when we have our sharers and our viewers and the folks that sharing with us, and they're taking the time and coming and seeing what, and listening rather to what, and seeing, because they have to see us, what we're talking about. That's a part, to me, for me, this is a great part to receive, right? To see the numbers, to see the people that are, clicking and sharing, to see the ones that are making comments. And it means a lot, because all these years, like we talked about, we have centennial stuff going on here. We have, really century stuff going on between the three of us. And as we progress and have guests on, and we'll see, in numbers, how much we pour into what we're doing. And I think this is a part of our receiving now, right? Because we'll get to see that in real time, like, of course, we'll always be able, listen, this will be on the internet forever. Right.
Right.
And so whenever I want to receive something, ladies, I'll click on one of the podcasts, you know what I mean? And like we was just laughing, that was very authentic, because this is our life. This is really our life journey. So we're not just talking about it because it's stories. We literally were just tickled because we were right there, however many, those are a very long time ago. And we just bless God today that Tracy is healed in the name of Jesus, and
Yes,
how
Lord.
she is going through, and she has
Yes, Lord.
testimony,
Thank
walking
you, Jesus.
testimony. You hear me? And
Mhm.
that is just the beginning of what the precipice of what God has for her in her life. And I'm just so blessed to be a part of it, and to be able to see and have those memories. Yeah, we
Right.
all have the stories about how somebody did us something, and they came in, and I had both men and women, mostly men coming in there, and I had to
Yeah.
push some women. But people trying to take advantage of. I'm sorry. Speak not, don't be trying to think don't be trying to give too much, because then because
Right.
niggas will try to boop, 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 will try to play you, right?
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, but in the process, I've always brought Jesus,
Mm.
right? No matter what, how hurt, how down, how trodden, how unforgiven, how whatever folks was looking at me as, whatever it was, I always said, you know what? I offer you Jesus, because that's what he said: set the captives free, right? The infant and the orphan, right? The children and the old people, right? The elders. And so when I look over the course of my life, over Tracy's life, and hearing what Crystal's done, we just had a what magnificent guest, and I didn't even know that you had even taken that person in. That is the reward and the blessing, is that we're living it scriptural. We may laugh and have, a little, quirky feeling about it, but in the end, we're really doing God's will for
Yes.
folks, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And that's so true. And we've done it and been doing it since we were children.
Mm,
We come to realize what it is today. Um, Again, I keep saying this because it keeps being in my spirit and my heart. We can't get weary of well doing.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because that's what we were sent here to do. And, you know, on my graduation night, I wonder if you remember this, Trey. On my graduation night, my mom was falling on hard times. She couldn't get me a graduation dress. You remember this, Trey?
Well, you have to keep talking about
So,
it.
okay. Well, Tracy had a dress. So I didn't have a dress to wear to my graduation. So
Mm.
Tracy gave me a dress that she had.
Really?
mm.
You
Wow,
remember
I
that?
can't remember.
It was a lace
Wow.
dress. You don't remember that? It was a lace dress. And when you were talking, that just, us being there for you, and that just popped in my mind. And I was like, you
Wow.
gave me a dress. I don't know if you wore the dress or whatever, but you had a dress for me, and I didn't care because I was grateful and thankful because I didn't have a graduation dress. So it was new to
Wow.
me.
Wow.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Crystal, I cannot remember, and blame it
I,
on my mind, not my heart.
Yeah, no, no,
Mm,
no, no,
mm-hmm.
because it came from your heart. So
Yes.
just like anything that I do, I don't say what I do for people.
Right.
I mean, because that stuff, people will, how do the Lord say it?
What you do in secret,
Right.
and he will
Yeah,
reward you. What you do in
openly.
the right in secret,
Right.
he will reward you openly.
Right. So I don't need to speak about the things that I did for people. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
At the guest one, I said nothing about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if she had never said anything about it, it would have never been said.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this just goes to show all the people that we have helped. And some people are going to come back and say thank you. And a lot of people are not going to come back and say anything because they did what they did, right, Renee?
Right. Right. Right.
Whether it's male or female, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, so that really made me feel good. And then to see this lady where she is today,
Mm,
and knowing her adversities and her struggles
Mm-hmm.
mm,
and everything, I can say a little bit, yeah, some of that was because I helped her a little bit, in her life. Well, I was a person that poured or cared enough to step in and to intervene. There's a whole lot more on that backstory,
right.
to all of that. You know
Right.
what I mean? But that was just my spirit. And that still is my spirit
Nice.
to help wherever the need is, to help, dig way down and don't think nothing of it. Don't even
I,
think two things about it. Just do it.
right.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But God is good
Yeah.
because that's the heart He gave us. So
Amen.
I'm glad to know that I am a giver. I'd rather be a giver than a receiver.
Amen.
Absolutely. I
I have
definitely
one
agree with
little
that too.
story, if I may. I have to share it because I think that it's appropriate to Crystal, since we're, swapping stories. My story about my mom and how all of that turned out. My mom passed away from breast cancer, but during the time that my mom was, losing faint in heart, um, I was living in Maryland, and the plan was for her to come to Maryland and to live. And for whatever reason, she rejected the idea. And she ended up in hospice, and as life would have it, while I was doing 100 miles an hour trying to get from Maryland to New York. I thank God he waited to take her until I got to New York. So I pull in, my mom passes, and it's horrific because I have little younger brothers. She passed on my middle son's birthday. It was just, it was the worst thing that could have happened. Even though you never can prepare for that, right? But so now she's gone, and but the way things happened with my family, um, I ended up some way on the outside of the family when I was the one that had been taking care of her entire life, my entire life, and I died. She died at like 30. I was 34ish, 33ish, around there. And I know Tracy mentioned her, her intimate relationship with the person we won't mention, but
Mhm.
the only person, and this is not exaggeration, the whole church that I had belonged to, there were 3 aisles, and the middle aisle was huge, and then the side aisles were small. And in my church at the time, I was all alone by myself on the right hand side. The whole church was on this side. Everybody was, for whatever reason, as as the way it would happen, I ended up being ostracized at my own mother's funeral. And Tracy's father spoke at the funeral. It was honored that he came. He spoke at the funeral, said a few words over my mother's body, and my pastor, we split it up to all of the people that impacted my mother's life. And they were essentially the only ones that were really there which were 2 childhood friends that came up from South Carolina that lived in the same building as we did. And then it was Tracy. And at the time, her her boyfriend. And I'll tell you that when you bury your mother, it's already, it's a hole in you, and you have no idea the kind of pain that will render to you. And I'm sure, Crystal, like, that part. But to be alone, I mean, literally, if I had to go back to my home where I lived at, I would have went alone. But I didn't, because Tracy and him, they both came and they stood with me in my home, and they stayed with me, and it was the hardest time. Do you remember that, Trey?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And it was funny because her, person at the time didn't know, my natural brother, and he was going to duke him out, for me, because it was just crazy because, the enemy is busy, my brother didn't understand what was going on. And my brother was only acting out of hurt and grief, for losing our mother. But he was like about to do a Duke City with him. And Tracy had to tell him, like, no, 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 that's her brother. Like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
it's not the time or the
Yeah.
place. And then they took me home, and they stayed with me, and they consoled me. And I always think about that. Like, I would have literally had no one to be there physically for me. And I'm really truly blessed, because when I reflect back, like, you think about those things about giving, right? When you think about it, about receiving, like, for me, like, I don't know how you feel about this, Trey, because you mentioned it, but when you can look up, like, in your memories and your mind's eye, and you can
Mhm.
look back and you're like, wow, that one person that, all these years, and like, that
Right.
one person is that person. And
Right.
I bless God for that, because that's where the union is at. Like, people don't understand that, right? So it's like, wow, and he rocked with me, and he and I, was cool, but he was rocking because Trey was rocking, and he was there, and they was right there for me. And
Yeah.
and tucked me in and made sure I was okay. And
Yeah.
but of course, I have a memory too. So I wanted to share that, with the world, that it just wasn't, it's not one way. That's what giving and receiving is about, right?
It
It's not
really
just
is.
one way,
It
right,
it
Trey?
it, it really is. And it's natural. It's a natural reaction, right?
Right.
Um, you know, because you and I were talking before you got to New York, and then when you called me to share the the sad news
Yeah.
about the loss of your mother, you know, I couldn't relate to that part, but I can relate to a loss because your mother was like my aunt,
Right.
and all I can remember, you know, growing up was your mother, because I would always see her in our apartment,
Right.
and when she would watch us, I just remember. So yeah, I was going through a loss as well,
Mm,
and he loved me, I guess, his on his own way, but
right.
because he loved me, he loved you,
Yeah.
and I feel that you know he wanted to support you
Yeah.
himself.
And he did.
Mm. And he
Mhm.
did,
Yes.
and so yeah, he had some good stuff too,
Yeah.
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 not
He
always
gave
bad.
it wasn't always
Right.
bad. So,
Right.
Crystal,
Wasn't
you didn't
always
know
bad.
that. I just wanted to share that with you, so
Yeah.
that you would know, that we all have our, and then one story, like Chris, when we talk about giving, over the past few years, you have come to be a real strong person in this unity, in this rock, in this place. And I don't know, Tracy, you may not notice, but there's been plenty of times that Chris has called me, on the side and has given of herself, given a word, given a prayer, given, just a listening ear, just to say, hey, sis, I got you, text me, call me. And, I think that it's really hard when we're talking about like being able to receive that, but it's becoming more easier, in this walk today, and, recently Chris called me and she was like, you all right? You okay? You gonna be all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna be all right. And she stayed right with me. She was, no, you're not. She was like, I'm praying for you. I want you to know, I got you. Because the Lord says, we all fall short of the glory of God, and she's always got the scripture. You always have, a good way of giving in a way that is able, that I know for me, that I'm able to receive it. You know what I mean? And not everybody can give the, money. Not everybody could give things, but people like you give your heart, people like you give a kind word, like that, you know what I mean? And that is, that's a blessing. And I just wanted to be able to share that I have, a story over these last, several years of sharing with you that's the way you always give, to me, and I appreciate that.
Wow. That was good right there. Almost
Yeah,
had me teary-eyed.
I'm getting
Almost had me
teary-eyed.
teary-eyed for a minute. Wow, that was a good one.
Give you something on your birthday, girl. Happy
That
birthday.
was a good
Birthday
shout
girl.
out. That was a
Oh,
good shout
yeah.
out. So, for me, Crystal doesn't normally share whatever it is that she's going to do or do. I'm not really surprised though. I think that, what kept Crystal and I for a minute, and I say minute, but many years, is that when I have fire, she has the ice or the water to
Oh my gosh,
put out
yes.
the fire.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
She's always had that calming spirit. You know, so I'm not surprised. I'm not. But that's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad that you guys are creating this bond together without me, right?
Yeah. Because, although we're together, it's still a separate relationship, and basically that's what it is. We're all sisters. We're all joined together and linked together some kind of way, but we still have our own separate relationships and dwellings with each other. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And Renee, I have come to really love you.
I love you too.
As a sister, and learning you as a friend. And I think that, and I just want to tell you again openly that I'm proud of you
Thank you.
from the time that we've met to this is Tracy, this is my Tracy. I don't think I like her too much. I'm sure you said that about me too. To
Amen.
to today, where we can pour out and say openly how we feel about each other.
Yes.
Hope that going down the line, we can create even a stronger bond, not only just spiritually, but naturally too, because we connected immediately in the spirit.
Yes.
We got older,
Yes.
So I would like to see, us evolve into something greater. So
Amen. That's the beautiful thing about, I love what you said, it's all separate, but it's together,
Right.
and those memories that we're sharing is really a blessing, and it is about us receiving. And that's why I think this is so fire, filled, is because we've all been able to receive from each other in such a beautiful way.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
Yes. Amen.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this was good. This was kind of a tear jerker for me. I'm
It
like,
was.
Me too.
I'm like, was getting all swelled up and everything.
Yeah, you guys almost got me. You almost
Yeah,
got me.
I'm about to get fired.
I think I seen her. I don't know. I don't believe you, Trey.
A little bit.
You was about to see one of those tears.
Don't tell
I don't know.
nobody.
I saw the corner.
Don't tell nobody though.
You was about to see your first tear.
Right.
I'm glad I have on glasses.
Well, guys, we're at the end again.
Aw.
Again, I just want to thank everyone for coming on and sharing. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and to share. And again, we're looking forward to hearing from you, your comments, your thoughts, and everything else. So I want to say thank you for joining us for Life Lessons for a time such as now. Good night, ladies. Good night, everyone.